From Spartan Arena in Fort Wayne, Indiana, it's the 4th annual BSN Sports Homestead Holiday Tournament as 8 of the best teams from across the state travel to show their stuff in a 2-day basketball extravaganza. Good evening, everybody. Merry Christmas and a happy holiday season to you. Braxton all joined alongside Malachi Stout. Malachi now the 4th year of this tournament, and it never disappoints.
Yes, Braxton, we're set for a great 2 days of basketball here from Spartan Arena, and we're starting out strong with Carroll and Zionsville. So
let's take a look at the tournament bracket. You mentioned it, Carroll and Zionsville is this first game. We're about to see it here on the floor in Spartan Arena. Mount Vernon and South Bend St. Joe, the other quarterfinal that's about to tip off at 5:30. That's over in the Victory Gym. We'll keep you updated on the score of that one. Then Homestead and Center Grove will follow here in Spartan Arena, and Penn and Hamilton Southeastern will be the second game in the Victory Gym. New format this year, only 3 games apiece per team. It's been 4 in previous years, and the big change comes from the fact that pool play is gone, and now it's straight to a bracket format.
Yeah, Braxton, there's a lot of confusion made by the pool play results, and tiebreakers always made things a little complicated, so I am in favor of this change. Makes things a lot simpler, and I mean, if you're the better team, just go out and prove it by winning the bracket. I think it makes things a lot smoother.
A lot simpler, because you lose one game, you are eliminated from championship contention. We've seen in years past teams that lose a game in pool play, and because of those tiebreakers you alluded to, they were able to find their way in the championship game and even win in the entire thing. That doesn't happen anymore. 4 teams move on to the semifinals tomorrow. Everyone else move over to the consolation side of the bracket. Let's focus in on this game, Carroll and Zions. We'll start things off with the Eagles. They come in ranked 15th in the USA Today poll for the 4A schools, 12th in the coaches poll. The pretty heavy favorites in this one, but Carroll, a team that we've seen them be competitive in this tournament in the past. These teams didn't meet here 2 years ago, and it was a single-digit ball game, so could be a good one tonight. But who should we watch out for the Eagles?
Well, the Eagles, I mean, they're really led by Rylan Gore and Camden Moore. Those two are really the engines of this offense, and really one of the big spots to watch out for is Rylan Gore's three-point shooting. If he can get going from beyond the arc, he's going to be deadly, and the Chargers will have to make sure they keep an eye on him.
Gore scoring 13 points per game, just over that for the Eagles this year. Meanwhile, for Carroll, I think it's obvious the player we got to focus in on here, and that's going to be their man in the paint, Brody Fisher.
Yeah, he's going to be huge, and he's going to have his hands full in his matchup with Camden Moore, so those two battling down low, definitely something to keep your eye on. But if Brody Fisher can establish position down low, I mean, it's going to be very hard to keep him from getting what he wants down low.
Yeah, both players listed as at 6'5". Camden Moore is actually listed as a guard, but really does play more like a forward. That is going to be the battle in the paint tonight, and it is going to be very fun to watch and see what happens. We're about to tip this thing off. 6 games in Spartan Arena, 6 games in the Victory Gym over the next 24 hours. It is a basketball extravaganza, and it starts next.
Rethink your limits. What limits you? Too small.
Braxton Hall and Malachi Stout with you back at Spartan Arena. We're about to kick off the BSN Sports Homestead Holiday Tournament. And let's take a look at the starting lineups for game number 1, quarterfinal number 1 in this tournament. And let's start things off with Zionsville out on the floor. Actually, Carroll being announced first, sitting on the home benches, but in their away uniform. So it'll be Jack Van Order, a 6'2" junior guard. Miles Herring, a 6'1" senior guard. Carter Middleton, 6' sophomore guard. 6'2" senior forward Dominique Kieferl, and 6'5" senior forward Brody Fisher. Meanwhile, for Zionsville, 5'9" senior guard Owen Hahn, 6'3" junior forward Nick Snively, 6' junior guard Rylan Gore, 6'4" junior forward Preston Johnson, and 6'5" junior guard Camden Moore. What are going to be the biggest keys to victory in this one, Malachi?
Well, Braxton, this game is most likely going to be very slow and defensive-minded by both these teams. Both teams like to slow it down and take care of the ball, but Zionsville, they're a little bit more turnover-prone than the Chargers are, so if the Chargers can get out and force turnovers by the Eagles, a team that turn the ball over 13 times a game, Chargers are going to need to capitalize on that and try to capitalize in transition. Meanwhile, for the Eagles, they're going to need a good shooting night tonight. They only shoot 30% on the year, but they're a good free throw shooting team, shooting 81% from the stripe. So if they can convert some of that free throw success to beyond the arc, that'll be huge to keep them in this game.
Third ever meeting between these two schools. The last one came back in 2023 in this very tournament. It was a pool play game that Zionsville won 53-44 versus Carroll. It's win or you're eliminated from championship contention in the holiday tournament this year. Let's get this underway. Ball is tipped, and the Eagles are going to have it to get us started in this one. Into the front court comes Zionsville. They are the defending tournament champions as they won against South Bend St. Joe in the championship game last year. Going for 3 to begin things and picking up where they left off a season ago. Owen Hahn, he was a big player last year. He's got the 3 there.
Well, you got to keep an eye on him. Chargers just lost him in some of that action, and he shoots 67% from 3 on the season, so you cannot lose sight of him if you're the Chargers.
Carroll, a team that made it to the regional round of the postseason last year. That's when they fell to the Homestead Spartans in a tight defensive bout. You're looking for more postseason success this season, but first, this game here tonight. Ball being moved around up top, passed out. 3-pointer coming from the Chargers. That's off the mark. That time from Fisher trying the 3-pointer. Up the other side come the Eagles. That's Camden Moore with it up top, number 45 for Zionsville. He's going to be a huge player to watch in this one. Right now, Johnson posting up against Fisher. He'll pass it out, and it's reset up top in the hands of Gore. Now right side, here comes the drive from Moore, and he finds the space and scores another one for Zionsville.
Well, how about Camden Moore just going downhill and then no one there to stop him and just flies by Brody Fisher, just hangs in the air for that split second longer to get a good look at the basket.
Free throw line jumper, good at that time from Van Order, getting the first points on the board for Carroll in this one. Carroll scoring about 53 points per game this season. Zionsville very defensive-minded, right around 49 points per game. So 2 defensive teams more often than not. Moore again through some contact, gets the bucket to go.
He keeps looking to drive the basketball, and so far Chargers not able to stop him as he's gotten 2 layups to go in a row now.
On the other end, here comes Carroll, and Fisher's going to have it up top to reset this offense. Passed off to the side. A handoff going to come to Van Order. And he'll back it up to the mid-court logo. Carroll ranked 75th in the Sagarin ratings right now. So right on the 30th percentile of the state. Van Order in and out that time. Tipped around. And here comes the Zionsville Eagles up the floor. And it's going to be a reset here from Gore. So we'll pass it out to Moore. Zionsville They're ranked 11th in the Sagarin ratings right now, so they are right towards the top when it comes to the computer rankings. Mentioned they're 12th in the USA Today poll, or 12th, in the coaches poll, 15th in the USA Today poll. As a three-pointer off the mark that time from Gore. So shooting was a little bit cold on that possession. Here comes Carroll. Van Order, hesitation, passes it out. Three on the way for Middleton, and that one's good.
Well, a great play there by Van Order. Had a good look, but takes two pump fakes and then gets the better look to Middleton, and wide open from three there. He's going to hit that every time.
Moore passes it to the right here. Eagles will set it up. Dribble here from Gore. He's going to pass it out. Hahn's going to try another three. That time, that one's well off the mark. And the loose ball rebound goes to Carroll. Thrown up ahead. It'll be Kieferl with it. And now Van Order rolls towards his left and tosses it to Fisher. Already over 3 minutes into this first quarter. Van Order short off the front of the rim and rebounded by the Eagles. Just a 2-point game here. Zionsville leading 7-5. Hahn passes it off to his left. And now Moore has the ball. He's going to take the three-pointer, and that's good from Gore.
Well, how about Rylan Gore? He really wants those deep threes. The Chargers, they're letting him have them, but he's able to make them pay on the deep three there.
Ball thrown over to the left. Dumped down to Fisher on the left block. Posting up here against Johnson and gets a shot up. Doesn't get the roll off the rim, but there's going to be a foul coming against Zionsville as Kieferl was clipped on the putback attempt.
Well, you can see the attention that Brody Fisher requires when he gets down low. I mean, there were three Eagles defenders just staring at him and moving to his area, and that opened up the offensive rebound opportunity for Kieferl as there was nobody there to box him out. He's able to get it, and then the foul to try to deny the putback layup.
And the first free throw is good here that time from Kieferl. Second one on its way. That one good as well. 71% at the line this season. Makes them both midway through this first quarter. Omar checks in for the first time tonight here for Carroll. Hahn's going to have it in the backcourt. Throw it up ahead. Finding a wide open Snively. He's going to drive against Omar into Fisher. Passing it out to Johnson. He'll go up and make it in off the glass.
And just a good move, just working it around the paint and then getting in a good angle to just get the shot up around his defender.
So we're seeing Zionsville do it both in the paint and beyond the arc with this 5-point early advantage. Omar with it up top will bounce it to Fisher in the high post. Thrown out to the right. Back down to Fisher. Two defenders around him, and it's going to be a foul this time drawn against Camden Moore.
Yeah, well, Eagles are making it very certain they want someone other than Brody Fisher to beat them. So when the Chargers finally are able to get it to him, they're going to force him to earn it at the line. It's very clear that they're dead set on trying to stop him from beating them down low.
Fisher's first free throw is good. And that foul was the second one on Camden Moore, so already some foul trouble here for him. And Fisher, another free throw shooter for the Chargers. It is 71% this year. Doesn't get the second one to go. And the rebound goes to Zionsville, but Johnson's foot on the baseline, so Carroll's going to get it back.
Yeah, and credit Omar there, fighting for that rebound and then forcing the Eagles to just tip it out of bounds and not be able to corral it. Great effort by him. Awards his team with an extra possession.
Van Order just off the mark that time. Down the floor. Snively has it knocked loose, and that's going to go out of bounds as Middleton was able to break up the play.
Well, what a play there by Middleton. Just very smart not to foul, but gets the strip and stops a wide open layup and forces the Eagles to reset it up in the half court.
Ball fired down low, knocked away by Omar, and he'll take it up across the timeline. And over and back call here as it was passed back to Middleton, and so it is going to be Zionsville ball.
Well, Omar had a great defensive play, getting the steal, but then just loses track of things and passes it back to Middleton when he was coming across that half-court line. Just cannot make that mistake.
Hahn's going to have a head fake here, rolling off towards his right, and now he is going to be found on his way up. So both teams starting to draw the whistle from the officials in this one, as this foul is going to be called on the floor, though it looks like, and it'll go against Van Order, his first. Ball thrown in for the Eagles. Green. Now Gore has it knocked free, and Carroll a chance to run, but Van Order is going to slow it up a little bit. Down by 4 early on in this game. Fisher will take it out beyond the arc and pass it right back. Fisher on the left block, spinning around, has it knocked free, fired back to Green. He'll advance it to Snively. Gore driving, knocked free, and last touched by Carroll, they're going to say, as Powell got his hand in there.
Well, credit the Chargers. That's the second time now they've saved a fast break layup, just getting those quick hands to be able to strip the ball, and that one unable to go off. The Eagles ended up off of him, but a great defensive play nonetheless.
Three-pointer off the mark that time from Gore, but the putback goes from Snively.
Yeah, just a great effort there on the offensive boards, able to rise up and snag the ball, and then getting it back up to earn his team second chance points.
Powell passes it off here, and now up top, the Chargers have it. Van Order dribbling around, guarded by Snively. Will pass over to Herring. Now in the corner, Powell bounces it to Omar, and thrown out to Fisher. All being dribbled around. Van Order will back it out to Fisher, right back to Van Order. Head fake, goes to the free throw line. He's spinning around trying to do it all himself. Now we'll pass it out to Powell. He's going to drive downhill. Ball deflected free. He gets it back and backs it out. Looking for a pass. It was deflected a little bit, but he gets it to Fisher. He's going to lower his shoulder, make a move, but can't get it to go. And Johnson, the strong defense there for the Eagles.
Well, he's had a big matchup going up against Brody Fisher, but he's been holding his own all night long on both ends here. But, I mean, credit him defensively, as he's made life very difficult for Brody Fisher. Defensive
stop here from Carroll. Herring will pass it off to Powell, now in the hands of Van Order. Hesitation as he rolls towards the right. Fires it down to Omar. He's spinning around, and that's off the mark that time. And a whistle on the rebound going to be called here on Carroll. That's going to be their second team foul of this first quarter.
Well, it looked like Omar was trying to get some contact when he went up with it, but a smart play there by the Eagles. Just go straight up and not give him the contact he was looking for. So that forces the miss there, and then just a frustration foul on that one by Omar, was just trying to get his own board. And, I mean, it ends up with the foul, something you have to be careful of if you're the Chargers.
Ball up top here for Zionsville. Less than 35 seconds left into this first quarter. Green has it knocked free on the ground. Gets it back. Snively's got a look. Snap of the net for Nick Snively.
How about that play there? Wasn't exactly what the Eagles drew up, but somehow able to find Nick Snively open from three. Not a great three-point shooter on the season, only shooting 17%, but that shot looked pure on that one.
Carroll with the ball offensively here. Lambert just into the game for the Chargers on the dribble. He'll toss it over to Van Order. 2 on the clock. Deep three-pointer just in front of the logo. And that's off the mark. And Zionsville starting to open up an advantage. It's 17-8 after 1 quarter of play. It's quarterfinal 1 in the BSN Sports Homestead Holiday Tournament.
What limits you? Too small, too old, insecure, broken. You have no limits. Rethink your limits.
Carroll basketball to begin quarter number 2 here in quarterfinal number 1 of the BSN Sports Homestead Holiday Tournament. Braxton Hall and Malachi Stout with you. Score up to the other quarterfinal going on right now. South Bend St. Joe is taking down Mount Vernon 20-12 at the moment. The Huskies built a huge lead, about 13 points to begin the game. Mount Vernon has clawed back into it a little bit, but still down by 8 late in the first quarter of that one, and immediately a foul to begin the second quarter. We've seen some aggressive play so far.
Yeah, well, it's been very aggressive, but it's been fairly clean by both teams. Didn't see too many fouls in that first quarter, but getting started with a foul early in the second as off the great cut by Van Order, the Eagles just kind of forced a foul to deny him the easy layup attempt.
Van Order, 53% free throw shooter this year. That foul was called against Johnson, his first. Carroll needs to get the offense going a little bit. Can't let this deficit continue to grow. Van Order does a good job of getting 2 points back on this possession. Teams are only scoring about 45 points per game against the Chargers so far this year. Ball in the hands of Hahn up top. A work out towards his right. Has a little bit of separation as he goes past Omar, floats it up off the back of the rim, tipped around, and Chargers going to end up with it in the end. That was Lambert making the play, and now has it up the floor for Carroll. And he'll set up at the volleyball line, passing off to his right. Three-pointer on the way. That's off the mark from Van Order. The D-ball has not been falling for the Chargers. That's the big difference right now.
Yeah, the Eagles have gotten their shots to go. Meanwhile, the Chargers have not been able to get anything going beyond the arc, and that's really what's stunting their offense right now and is the reason for their 17-point deficit.
And this one going to be out of bounds off of Carroll. That was Powell coming in to break up the play a little bit. Carter Middleton and Dominique Kiefer going to check back in now for the Chargers. Ogatunde to inbound it for the Eagles. Hahn will run the point here. 1 minute gone in the second quarter. Bounce it down. Now Reed hands it off. Fired down. It's a pick and roll, but out of bounds, and again off of Carroll.
Well, the Chargers continue just getting their hands in and able to strip the ball away from the Eagles. Haven't been able to force turnovers, but have been able to deny the Eagles open looks at the basket.
Green with it up top. And passed over to Ferguson. Reed. Ogatunde going towards the left. Eagles struggling to find any penetration right now. Carroll's defense standing strong as both teams with different looks in early on in the second quarter compared to what we saw for most of the first. A lot of new players getting into the game. Ferguson will pass it off to Ogatunde. And a handoff now to Green. Fired to Reed. He's using his body to try to create space. Finally puts one up. That's off the rim. And Carroll's going to get it. So a strong defensive possession for the Chargers. A possession that took 50 seconds for Zionsville, but comes up empty. And Middleton will have it in the front court for the Chargers now. Fire to Van Order. A lot of contact. No whistle. And the shot doesn't fall. Coach Benedict can't believe it on the sideline for the Chargers. But we play on in the hands of Ferguson. Working towards his right, but just looking for a teammate. Now we get to screen from Reed. Nothing doing with that motion, though. Ogatunde passes it over to Hahn. Reed will toss it back to Hahn. Looking for a cutting player. Throws it out to Green. And back to Reed. Running the offense through him. He was looking for Hahn, but it's going to trickle into the backcourt as Hahn started to come off, and that's an unforced error that gives the ball to the Chargers, and a lot of substitutions coming in for both teams.
Yeah, the Eagles just not on the same page there as Hahn clearly thought the ball was going a different way. And, you know, the Eagles are really lucky that Hahn was even able to find the ball and keep it from being a wide open layup for the Chargers.
Middleton has it in the backcourt, throws it up ahead to Fisher. Now Kiefer back to Middleton, and Fisher again with it. Working around, passes it out, catch and shoot three from Middleton. That one catches the rim but falls in nicely.
Well, Middleton, he's a great shooter for this team and shooting 53% on this season. They clearly want him shooting that shot.
Chargers going to get a steal here and get back on offense as their defense coming alive to begin the second quarter. Van Order passes it out, and now Keith Furl at the free throw line passes it to Lambert, to Fisher. He's going to hand it off. Van Order some space, getting into the lane, but swatted away by Preston Johnson.
Well, credit Johnson. He's been great on defense all night long. Has had the matchup against Brody Fisher for most of the game, but showing his versatility on that one as he switched on to Van Order, but still able to go up and get the rejection.
Deron Truesdale checks in now for the Chargers. Carroll's cut the deficit to just 4 points and can have it here. Truesdale hasn't knocked free, but the Eagles stand tall. And here comes Johnson, and no one's catching up to him as he explodes to the cup.
Yeah, and I mean, that started by Snively on the defensive end, just getting his hands in the way of the ball and able to create the turnover, and really the first fast break that we've seen the Eagles successfully been able to do in this game.
Fisher, the top of the key, goes out to his left. Keith Furl. And we'll pass it off now to Van Order. Chargers have most of their starters in right now. Truesdale, the exception, as Van Order goes down to Middleton. The backdoor cut. He can't finish it. Keith Furl, put back. No good either. Those are the shots you got to hit.
Yeah, the Chargers had 2 great looks there, just unable to hit any of them. They're going to need those shots if they want to come back in this game.
In the hands of Johnson. He's looking for a roll, not going to get it. Instead, he'll throw it out to Green. I'll hold it in the left slot now for the Eagles and pass it off in the hands of Gore. Back to Johnson, the top of the key. Floating it down low to Gore. How about that? Right between a couple of defenders.
Well, great find there by Johnson. I mean, able to just fit it through the needle in that one. And then how about the finish by Gore, just able to go up and somehow get the shot to go kind of backwards as he went up with it.
And you got to talk about quarterbacks throwing the receivers open, and Johnson threw Gore open on that one. A great find as the lead all of a sudden back up to 8 now for Zionsville. Highest it has been in this game is 9, and that time a late whistle is going to come in against the Eagles that is going to send Van Order to the free throw line.
Well, the refs have been, letting a lot of things go in this game as we've seen very few fouls between both teams, but Eagles just getting a little bit too much contact on that arm there. But, man, it's been very physical throughout. But the refs, for the most part, just letting teams play, and I think that's been to the benefit of both teams as both these teams are defensive-minded, and so both of them prefer to play more aggressive styles.
Van Order gets the first free throw to go at the line. Second one on its way. That one rolls off the rim and rebounded now by the Eagles. Johnson with it now. Standing up top, Snively is wide open down. Oh, that's blown defense from Carroll, and Coach Benedict going to call a timeout as they are now facing tied for their biggest deficit of this game.
Yeah, the Chargers starting to fall apart a little bit here just on the defensive end. A miscommunication. Just cannot have that happen as this game quickly getting out of hand as the Eagles on the verge of a double-digit lead now.
Well, Carroll was down by 9 to begin this quarter, but they clawed back into it. Got it down to a 4-point game with possession of the ball, but Zionsville has exploded again. Back in this 9-point advantage. Right now, it's about cutting this deficit as much as possible before we get to halftime.
And they're going to need to try to keep this game within reach because, well, the Chargers, they're not a great offensive team. They rely on their defense for the most part, and so they're going to need to keep this a very close game. They can't allow it to get out of hands, or they're going to have to try to shoot their way back into the game, something they're not great at, only shooting 33% from beyond the arc on the season.
Another single-digit ball game over in the Victory Gym. South Bend has just scored to make it a 7-point game as they lead Mount Vernon 26-19 right now, and that game in the second quarter as well. So it'll be Carroll basketball following the timeout. 2.5 minutes remain into this first half. It is flying by in game number 1 of this BSN Sports Homestead Holiday Tournament. Both teams got to win here to keep your championship hopes alive as tournament moves to a bracket format here in 2025. Van Order passes it off to his left, and Chargers again trying to find penetration as Truesdale will have it and go to Fisher. But there's a lot of standing around the arc, and it leads to mistakes like that. And that's going to be the second time in this game we've seen these teams just kind of throw the ball away into the backcourt.
Yeah, not the possession the Chargers wanted or needed coming out of the timeout. Obviously, not what Coach Bendick had drawn up for them, as being a costly mistake now as the Eagles have a chance to push their lead to double digits.
And ball floated up, and that's good from Green. He'll get the 2 points, and it's now 25-14. Zionsville leads, 1:50 remaining in the first half. Largest lead of the game for the Eagles. Fisher has it in the post, lowers his shoulder, passes it out to Middleton. Now Herring with it. Drive here from Van Order as he spins around. Got a pretty good look, but couldn't get it to go. 90 seconds left in the half. Gore using Johnson as a pick, will roll to the right and pass it back to Green on the wing. And I'll go back here to Johnson. And Gore again with the ball. Johnson finding Snively. He couldn't get it to go that time. And that was another good find. The pass making for the Eagles has been exceptional tonight.
Yeah, and especially from Johnson. That's, the third or fourth time we've seen him just make a crisp pass between defenders where only his teammate to get it. Snively just not able to convert on that one.
Chargers get the bucket here. Johnson is the leading assist getter for Zionsville this year, but it's not a super impressive number on paper. Only 2.3 as Green's three-pointer is no good. Here comes Carroll up the floor. And they've got it down to single digits here, trying to cut into it one more time before halftime. Van Order on the wing, rolling off towards his right, and he is going to be fouled here by Wesley Sim. It looks like it'll be his first.
The Eagles just getting a little bit aggressive there, sending true to the ball, trying to trap it in that corner area, just going after the ball a little bit too aggressive there as he gets part of the arm.
Inbound comes just in time to Fisher. Hands it off to Herring. 20 seconds left on the clock. Van Order with it will toss to his left to Middleton. Drilling it on the midcourt logo. Gets a screen from Kiefer going towards his right. Middleton picks up his dribble. Now to Fisher. 7 on the clock. Ball gets knocked free. Fisher gets it back. And another foul called against Zionsville. That'll be their third team foul, so they still have one more to give. But that goes against Snively. And so that'll be his second personal foul. And he is going to be sent to the bench for the final 4.7 of this first half. One more inbound coming for the Chargers, although Eagles do have another foul to give if they want it. Kiefer far side. He's going to take the long shot, or long two, and it's nowhere near going in the first half. Going to come to an end. It's the same margin the Eagles had at the end of the first quarter. A 9-point advantage, 25-16 in quarterfinal number 1 of the BSN Sports Homestead Holiday Tournament.
rethink your limits.
The Air National Guard allows you to serve your state and country just one weekend a month while living your everyday life the other 28 days. You can earn up to $1,200 a month and get 100% of your college tuition paid for. For more information, search Fort Wayne Black Snakes on Facebook or Instagram, or call 260-478-3247 to connect with a recruiter today.
Marco's Pizza, located at 10349 Illinois Road, inside the shops of Scott Road. Marco's specializes in pizza, cheesy bread, subs, salads, and many other menu items. You can place an order for delivery or carryout by calling 625-6800. That number once again is 625-6800. You can also order online at marcos.com. Thank you, Marcos, for supporting the Point 91 FM and being a proud sponsor of Homestead High School athletics coverage on our station.
Back here at Spartan Arena, welcome into the OPS halftime report. Braxton on Malachi Stout with you. Zionsville is leading Carroll 25-16 here in this quarterfinal number one of this Homestead Holiday Tournament. One other game is going on right now, and that is the quarterfinal number 2 between South Bend, St. Joe, and Mount Vernon. And it is 37-34. South Bend St. Joe holds the lead late stages of the first half in that one. Mount Vernon, of course, led by their Purdue commit Luke Ertl, but they faced an early 11-point deficit. They've cut it down to a 3-point game. So we'll continue to keep you updated on the score of that one throughout the remainder of the evening. But let's talk about the first half of this game. Zionsville's controlled most of the first 16 minutes, but Carroll did come back into it, got it down to a 4-point game. But looking at some of these first half stats, the Chargers shooting just 18% from 2. That's not a recipe for success.
Yeah, Braxton, the Eagles, one thing they pride themselves on is making shots for the other team very difficult, and they've been doing that so far tonight. They've been playing very physical, very aggressive, and it has resulted in some fouls. The Chargers have been at the free throw line for 8 attempts so far, but I mean, it's working out for them clearly, as the Chargers are struggling to get any shots to fall, as the Eagles consistently just making it tough on the Chargers, and especially Brody Fisher. He's their main man, and they really haven't been able to get it to him down low too often tonight, as they can continue to send 2 or 3 to the ball and making other players beat them, and so far nobody else has stepped up.
And then meanwhile, Zionsville is shooting 50% from 3. They went 3 of 6 in that first half, so that's where 9 other points have come from, and obviously That is the 9-point advantage right now. Some of the individual stats. Nick Snively, the leading scorer for the Eagles with 7 in the first half. A lot of those came from backdoor cuts and passes from Preston Johnson, who had several assists as well as 4 points in the first half. So did Camden Moore. Owen Hahn had 3 points. Rylan Gore had 5 for the Eagles. And meanwhile, for the Chargers, Jack Van Order and Carter Middleton were the 2 leading scorers with 6 points apiece. Brody Fisher had 5, and Dominique Cufero had 2. So that's another thing for the Chargers. Only 4 players have scored in this game.
Yeah, and that's going to be a big thing to watch in this second half is, can some of these other players step up? And, so far they haven't been able to do that. Maybe Mansar, Omar, maybe Lincoln Powell, some of these other guys that score, 4 to 5 points per game start to step up and chip in scoring, because right now those 4, Eagles are making the focus to stop Jack Van Order and Brody Fisher and try to force it into the other players' hands, and so far they haven't been able to capitalize off that.
So both teams out on the floor heading out for their final warm-ups before the second half. We'll take one more quick break and be back in 60 seconds with the second half from Spartan Arena.
What limits you? Too small, too old, insecure, broken. You have no limits. Rethink your limits.
Back here for half number 2 at Spartan Arena, Braxton Hall, and Malachi Stout with you as right now the Zionsville Eagles are 16 minutes away from moving on to the semifinals of the BSN Sports Homestead Holiday Tournament, but the Eagles still have to go through the Chargers, who are not going to go down without a fight, so we'll see what happens in the final 2 quarters of this one. Malachi, what's going to be the biggest key for these teams in the second half?
Well, for the Chargers, they're going to need to try to get some other players to step up and score the basketball, try to take the pressure off Brody Fisher, because, right now, Eagles are saying have somebody else beat us, and so far nobody has, so they continue sending double teams to Brody Fisher as nobody else able to beat them. Meanwhile, for the Eagles, they need to continue just getting down low and scoring down low. Their threes have been hitting, but this is not a team that relies on shooting. They only shoot 30% on the season, but somewhere they have been very good tonight and very good on the season is down low with those 2-pointers. If they can continue getting those back cuts and finding open players at the rim, that'll be a recipe to winning this game.
Here's Johnson with it for the Eagles. He'll pass it up top to Snively, the leading scorer in that first half. Camden Moore getting to the cup, getting the bucket and 1. He did not play that much in the first half. Didn't play at all in the second quarter after picking up 2 early fouls, but making his presence felt to begin this third period.
Yeah, and we saw his scoring ability early in the first half, but after he got in foul trouble was sitting out for most of the first half. But clearly they are looking to get him involved as soon as they get him back on in the game, and he immediately makes it pay off for his team, getting the and 1 and converting the 3-point play.
Van Order is going to float it to Fisher here for the Chargers. Back to the cup. Pivoting, passing out, 3-pointer from Herring, and the Chargers finally get a 3-pointer to go.
And then Chargers finally able to make the Eagles pay for double teaming Brody Fisher as he's able to find his open teammate in Herring, who shoots 40% from beyond the arc on the season and makes the Eagles pay on that one.
Johnson with it, passing over to Hahn. And back to Moore. We'll see how this offense looks with Camden Moore back available for Zionsville. So far, he's well rested and playing good to begin the third quarter.
Well, every time he turns that corner, the Chargers not able to stay in front of him. His mix of size and speed makes it very hard to get a contest on his shot, and he's just getting whatever he wants down low at the moment.
Second leading scorer for this team with 10.5 points per game. He's got 9 so far, and his presence helps free up Rylan Gore as well. 3-pointers cash from Carter Middleton. Chargers go back-to-back from deep.
Now, well, they're starting to heat up from beyond the arc, but if their defense doesn't stop the Eagles from scoring, it'll be not enough to get in this ballgame. So their defense really needs to tighten up in this next 2 possessions.
Moore again with it. He'll pass it out to Johnson. And now the 3-pointer on the way. That rolls off the rim. Spinning around and a toss. And it's going to end up as a takeaway here as the Eagles get the ball back. Moore will pass it over to Hahn. He'll get to the basket, run into Fisher. Somebody get his own miss back, and that ball going to fly on a bounce. Snively was the closest player to it, but didn't really have a chance.
Well, how about Owen Hahn able to hustle? Only standing at 5'9", but able to get his own offensive rebound, but then just unable to get the pass off to his teammates. The Chargers were hounding him instantly when he grabbed that rebound and just forcing him to throw the ball out of bounds.
Van Order on the wing will toss it over to Herring. And he'll hand it off now to Middleton. Kiefer with the ball. Fisher up top. Kiefer again with the dribble to Van Order. He's spinning around. 8-point game here from the Chargers. We've cut into a point from the deficit they had at halftime. Chance to get it down to a 2-possession game on this possession. Middleton goes right to Kiefer. Free throw line out to Fisher. Just able to get a handle on that, keep it from flying out of bounds. Van Order starts a drive, turns around in front of the free throw line. That's just a little bit short. Van Order spinning around, getting some mid-range jumper looks. Just can't convert them. Johnson down the court, has it knocked away by Van Order on the defensive end. Now Herring with it. Firing it over to Fisher. He's going to take the jumper from about 12 feet. That's no good. And rebounded by the Eagles. Gord off the mark that time, trying to get to the basket. Easy rebound for Fisher, so both offenses slowing down a little bit here in this third quarter.
Yeah, well, after that hot start by both teams kind of settling in and slowing things down a little bit as both defenses have really started to elevate their game back to what we saw in that first half.
And Fisher's going to be fouled here by Johnson. And so that'll be the second foul called on Johnson. Fisher gets his second trip to the free throw line and hits the first this time. Carroll making 2 substitutions here as Fisher King at the second one to go. A 7-point game now. Powell and Omar, the 2 who come in now for Carroll. Johnson up ahead, tosses it back. Gore hands it off to Hahn, and that was just a beautiful work of art on that pass as Hahn hits the floater.
Yeah, just a great find there by Gore, able to swoop in and find the cutting Hahn, who's able to make the open look at the basket, but just great ball movement from the Eagles. I mean, every time they have an open cutter, it seems like they find them every time.
Van Order able to draw the contact. It wasn't even on purpose, it didn't look like, but as he spun around, Hahn clipped his arm, and that's going to be an and one coming out from Jack Van Order.
Well, Van Order, a very good mid-range scorer. We've seen him try to get a few mid-range shots up early in this game. Really hasn't gotten to fall too often, but able to finish through the contact just to get the mid-range shot to go. A great shot by him, able to cut the lead to 7.
So this coming to the line here, and that one is in and out this time. Ball thrown up ahead. Still at a 7-point game right now. It was 7-9 has been the range in the second half of the advantage for the Eagles, and more. Going to have a foul called off ball here against Carroll, and that's going to go against Powell. It'll be his first.
Well, you can see the gravity that Camden Moore has. I mean, any time he tries to go downhill, I mean, the Chargers have learned their lesson, and they're adjusting their defense to really hone in on stopping him from getting open driving lanes. But as you can see there, he was able to find an open team, was fouled before he was able to do so. But look for him to get some more assists late in this game as the Chargers put a lot more focus on him.
Coach Howell burning a timeout here with 3:29 left in the third quarter. All right, Carroll has stopped the bleed. They've even cut into the deficit a little bit. Now down just 7. What's been working well for them in this third quarter?
Well, they've been able to stop the Eagles' hot shooting night and able to get a few threes of their own. You know, they're telling the Eagles, try to beat us down low. They don't want the threes to continue to burn them, and you know, they've slowed things down for the Eagles. They're starting to, you know, try to guard from the full court up, just making things harder for the Eagles and not letting them get whatever they want as easily. So the Chargers making the Eagles a little bit uncomfortable here, trying to switch up their offensive game.
Another foul called quickly here on Carroll on the inbound. And that goes against Omar, so his second. Another inbound attempt here for Zionsville on that baseline. Gore has it to Johnson. Now Moore with the ball. Passed over to Sim. Back to Johnson. Turning his back to the basket. Gonna find more, in the passing in this game has been amazing to watch from the Eagles as Moore gets into double digits. First player to do so in this one. But a Zionsville team that averages about 10 assists per game. They're putting on a clinic in the paint passing tonight.
Yeah, I mean, they just continue just having great finds to the basket. They're a great cutting team. Just they never have motion. They never have anybody just standing around. There's always motion in this offense, and when you cut down low, they find you almost every time, and it's why they've been up in this game so far.
Moore having it, fires over to Sim, catch and shoot 3. That's just off the mark, and Omar with the rebound now for Carroll. Bounces it ahead, taken away, but out of bounds by Gore.
And the Eagles just trying to pressure the Chargers a little bit. Chargers trying to speed things up, and it goes out of bounds. Chargers lucky to retain possession here as they're going to try to do anything they can, try to cut into this lead.
2:20 remains here in the third quarter. Omar has it for the Chargers. Now in order. Omar going baseline, turns around. Van Order's got space on the wing, and Jack Van Order's got another 3 in this one. He'll move into double digits, and Carroll's going to call a timeout for the second time in this game. A full timeout, so we'll step away. Smallest deficit it's been in the third quarter for Carroll. They're down by 6, 2:05 left in the third.
Rethink your limits.
2:05 remains here in the third quarter. Carroll trailing 34-28 right now against Zionsville. And the other game going on in the Victory Gym, South Bend St. Joe and Mount Vernon has just gotten back underway, less than a minute in to the second half, and South Bend St. Joe has scored 4 unanswered to make it a 46-37 lead early on in the third quarter. There, we'll keep you updated throughout the remainder of that game. A little bit farther ahead we are in this one as Carroll now the smallest deficit they've had in the second half, and really dating back to about midway through the second quarter. Chance for a turnover as Hill is there for the Chargers, but his foot was on the baseline, so couldn't quite pick off the pass that was intended for Snively, and Zionsville catches a big break.
Yeah, I mean, they got really lucky. It was a battle for the ball down there, and I think the Chargers may have ended up with it if Hill's foot didn't touch that sideline. And, you know, a lucky break for the Eagles. The Chargers, they're going to be very aggressive coming out of the break, trying to force some turnovers from the Eagles and try to continue to cut into this deficit.
Snively gets up, and he is going to be fouled. Easy whistle here as Hill is going to pick up his first of this game.
Yeah, and Hill just being a little bit too aggressive to the ball there, trying to get the block, just swinging his arm a little bit too aggressively as he clips Snively on that one. And the Eagles, they didn't shoot any free throws in that first half. That's somewhere where they were trailing, was the free throw department, just not able to get to the line at all. but they've been able to get to the line a few more times in the second half, and it's where some of their offenses came from.
Both free throws good that time from Snively. Now we'll head over to the bench as Johnson checks back in. 90 seconds remaining here in the third quarter. Chargers down by 8 in possession of the ball. Powell goes over to Omar. Out the volleyball line. Van Order has it. Passed over to the left, Middleton. Van Order, right block. Whips around to Powell at the free throw line. He'll toss it back to Omar. He thought about a shot. Instead, he'll toss it over to Van Order. He steps up, not going to take the contested look. And the backdoor pass is knocked away easily by Johnson, who brings it up the floor to Green. And now Sim. Moore will have it and trying to find Ferguson that time, but out of bounds.
And the Eagles, I mean, there have been a few times since that timeout where they just don't look as connected as they did up to this point in the game, as they've come close to making a turnover early and then finally do make the turnover on that one, as Chargers defense looking a little bit better coming out of the timeout.
Hill off the back of the rim and a rebounding foul. And it's going to be called against Omar. That one maybe a little bit of frustration as he's going to pick up his third.
Yeah, and that's going to be his second foul that he's gotten just off of rebounds, just getting a little bit too aggressive and careless, trying to, offensive rebound. And, that could come back to bite them, as they now have 5 team fouls in the third quarter, and that's going to result in free throws for the Eagles, so a costly mistake there by Omar.
And that'll put Zionsville into the bonus. Becoming the first team to do so in any quarter so far in this one. And Moore doesn't quite get the roll on that first free throw. A rare miss for him. He's 83% this year at the line. As a whole, the Eagles' good free throw shooters, 81% this year and 1 of 2 at the stripe this time. Back to a 9-point game. That's how the last 2 quarters have ended. A 9-point advantage for the Eagles. Carroll trying to finally cut into that box score deficit at the end of the period. Kieferl over to Hill. Passes it over to Middleton. And to Van Order now. Less than 30 seconds left on the game clock. Powell has the ball. We'll roll over to the right. And toss it back. Van Order, 12 on the clock. Powell. Motion picks up for the Chargers now. Step back from Powell. Plenty of time on the clock. Moore, an easy block. Powell gets it back some time. Throw it ahead to Van Order. Jumper off the back of the rim. So a poor shot selection almost ends up in 2 points for the Chargers. But in the end, the third quarter concludes the same way the first 2 did. A 9-point lead for Zionsville, 37-28. 8 minutes remain in this quarterfinal matchup.
What limits you? Too small, too old, insecure, broken. You have no limits. Rethink your limits.
Getting ready for the fourth quarter here at Spartan Arena. It'll be Carroll basketball as they trail by 9 with this fourth quarter getting underway. And both offenses a little bit slow in this one, but especially for the Chargers, putting up just 28 points through 3 quarters of play. We have an update from the other game. South Bend St. Joe leading Mount Vernon 52-44 midway through the third quarter of that one. So Mount Vernon, the 8th-ranked team in the state, on the ropes a little bit, but South Bend St. Joe, a ranked team as well. So a good matchup over in the Victory Gym, as that one a single-digit ball game just like this one, at least for the time being. The Eagles trying to push it to double digits on this possession. Johnson will throw it out, and a three-pointer from Snively is off the mark, and the rebound deflected by Middleton, and in the end it goes off of Johnson for a Carroll ball.
Yeah, we'll credit Johnson with the effort. They're trying to save the ball for his Eagles team, just unable to get there in time, as the Chargers are going to try to have a better possession than they did on their first one. Try to get the first points of the fourth quarter.
Three-pointer rolls around, doesn't drop from Herring. The Carroll bench wanted that one to fall, this to a two-score game, but not to be for the time being. More to Johnson. We'll see Zionsville, how aggressive they get. Probably just want to run a lot of clock and not give the Chargers many more possessions in this one, as Gore's going to have it now and pass it over to Johnson. And back to Gore. He's going to try the three-pointer. That one is good. Well, you don't got to worry about lengthy possessions if you just get the three balls to fall.
Yeah, and Rylan Gore is someone you cannot give space, and the Chargers have learned that the hard way. Is, anytime he has a little bit of separation, he's going to pull the jumper, and he's gotten it to go a few times tonight.
And then Fisher walks with it on the other end. He was trying to create some space, but just a little bit too much movement with his feet. That's going to turn it over, and a big chance now for Zionsville to blow this game open, as they have their largest advantage of the night. Inbound here to Johnson, and back to Snively. See Carroll bringing a little bit of a press here on this possession, and the ball is going to be thrown ahead. Moore just going to dribble it here on the mid-court logo. Zionsville, they win this game. They will advance to the semifinals tomorrow to take on the winner of Southbound St. Joe and Mount Vernon. That game will tip off at 10 a.m. and almost a turnover here, but Carroll able to get it back. The loser of this game, which right now would be the Chargers, will play in the consolation bracket starting tomorrow. Again, a 10 a.m. tip time against the loser of South Bend St. Joe and Mount Vernon. Let's take another look at that play, as Kieferl had it knocked free, and Snively diving effort just a little bit late. Ball stays with Carroll.
Yeah, and although the ball does stay with Carroll, it's the little things like that, just poking the ball out and making the Chargers have to run a new possession from the baseline. It's things like that that have kept them ahead of the Chargers and really have slowed the Chargers offense down, as they just have not been able to get any good looks. The Eagles continue putting pressure on them.
Middleton misses the three-pointer, then picks up the foul, trying to strip the ball free, his first foul of this game. And Snively will have it now for the Eagles, up ahead to Green. Zach Green will pass it off to Moore. He's going to drive down the middle of the paint and find his way to the glass.
Just continues torching the Chargers off of drives. I mean, just nobody can stay in front of him, and when he gets to the rim, it's a rare miss for him, as he just seems to be guaranteed anytime he gets an open look at the rim.
Hill's going to pull up, but no good. Carroll ice cold right now. They have not scored in this quarter, now 3 minutes in. Worst time for your offense to sputter. Snively throws it over to Moore. He's just going to hold it here. Now the count comes for 5 seconds, closely guarded. Ball passed off to the left. Green. Step inside the paint, bounce it out into Johnson. Gore's just going to drive wide open lane, and Hill's going to foul him. And you can see it now. Carroll's starting to look a little bit dejected as Gore just blowing right by Hill, and he had nothing else to do but foul in that situation.
Yeah, well, you have to respect the three-point shooting of Gore, and that's what forced the hard closeout by Hill, and then just the patience by Gore to wait for Hill to run up on him, and then just drives right behind him, and the forced foul by Hill. But I mean, the Eagles offense, they continue running smoothly. Meanwhile, the Chargers just have hit a brick wall offensively, haven't been able to get anything to go in this fourth quarter, and that's really what stalled their hopes of coming back in this game.
Meanwhile, Mount Vernon has taken the lead at the end of the third quarter over South Bend St. Joe, 53-52, which I believe means they ended the quarter on an 11-0 run over the final 4 minutes or so. So Mount Vernon leads that one, a tight game to begin the fourth quarter. Second free throw good this time for the Chargers. Here's Powell with the ball underneath the basket, and a good reverse there. Gets it to go.
Well, a great shot there by Powell, somehow able to get it to fall. But I mean, if you're the Eagles, you're going to live with that shot, and just forcing them into tough shots like that. They able to get that one to fall, but on the course of a night, they haven't been able to get those difficult shots to fall, and that's what's keeping the Eagles' defense and team in the lead.
Johnson between the circles passes it to the right. And now in the middle of the floor. Gore with the ball, fires over to his left. Camden Moore, and foul down low. They're looking the way of Powell, maybe grabbing at Hahn. And so he's going to pick up another foul here after getting the bucket on the offensive end. It'll be the second called on Powell. .348 remaining in this one. The Chargers with 3 team fouls. And the inbound here to Johnson just stays in bounds, getting it back to Hahn. Fired over to the left. Moore again driving, and again he's going to be fouled, going back to the line for another trip.
The Chargers, they just have no answer for anytime Camden Moore wants to drive, and it's they're forced to foul on this possession. But you can just tell, I mean, Chargers defenders have been helpless anytime he gets ahead of steam and drives down. The Chargers forced to foul here, and that's really been the story of the night, just unable to stop him.
Carroll going to call their third timeout in this one. You got 13 points you're down by if you're Carroll with 3:38 remaining. If there's any path forward in this game, what's it going to be?
Well, they need to get their offense back on track. Only have 2 points to their name in this fourth quarter, and their defense, they've been strong for the most part all night, only holding the Eagles to 43 points. So their defense has done its job, but their offense has really struggled throughout this game, just unable to get the shots to fall. They need to try to find some better looks, get some more ball movement, because anytime they try to go one-on-one against the Eagles defenders, I mean, they're just not getting good looks. So on the defensive end, try to create some turnovers, try to get some extra possessions for your team to make up for the deficit, and then you need to get good ball movement and try to get some open looks.
Don't forget, coming up next, the quarterfinal round. It continues as the host Homestead Spartans will take to the floor against the Center Grove Trojans. That game scheduled for a 7 o'clock tip-off, or about 20 minutes after the conclusion of this game, as Moore's first free throw is no good. I'll go back for one more at the line. And that one rolls off the rim as well. Rare 0-2 trip from Camden Moore. Chargers got to score quickly with 3.5 minutes remaining in this one. Ball passed out by Lambert in the hands of Van Order. Now up top to Herring. He's going to spin around, guarded by Moore. Powell back to Lambert. He's got to look at a float over Johnson. Can't bank it in off the glass. Herring offensive board. Putback attempt gets the roll.
There's a strong rebound there by Herring, and able to go up strong as well and get the shot to fall. That's what they're going to need. They're going to need those extra possessions, those second chance points, as when their shots aren't falling, they need someone there to get another good look for the Chargers.
Hard to believe, only the second basket of the game for Herring, and the first one inside the arc. He's been held in check, as has Carroll as a whole in this game, but he's one of those 5 starters you expect to get a little bit something going if you're a Chargers fan, and Green that time with the easy bank in for the Eagles.
Well, the Chargers, they try to bring pressure, try to force a turnover, but the Eagles' ball movement's just too good, as they're going to just be patient and calm and find the right read every time as they get the wide open Green, and he's going to hit that little floater just outside the paint area. I mean, that's just an easy shot for him.
Powell skip pass other end. Omar 3-pointer. That's airballed and deflected out of bounds. It'll stay with Carroll, as looked like Gore was the last one to touch it.
The Chargers, even when they do get good looks from beyond the arc, they just have not been hitting them. And this is a team that's poor shooting from beyond the arc, and it's coming back to hurt them really in this game. We saw a stretch of them finally able to hit those threes early in the third quarter, but I mean, they've cooled down ever since then.
Van Order with it up top. He's got the step back. He got Green off his feet, but can't get the bucket to go. And the putback opportunity no good as well for the Chargers. Ball advanced across the timeline by Gore, now to Moore. Green with it. "100 seconds remain in this game, and it's looking like it's going to be the Zionsville Eagles who move on to the semifinals tomorrow morning, barring some sort of miraculous turnaround by the Chargers, but they don't seem like they're going to be too aggressive here as Camden Moore, easy lay-in. And a timeout was called by Zionsville with 1:21 remaining in this game. So the Eagles are going to be the team moving on to the semifinals. I think it's safe to assume as they hold this 15-point advantage with 80 seconds remaining. And their three-point shooting has been a big factor in this game, 42% so far.
Yeah, and this is a team, they only shoot 30% on the season, but they've gotten a few to fall. And really, especially Rylan Gore has been huge. He's hit 2 big threes for this team. But the big thing that's been helping their three-point percentage is their ball movement, just continuing to swing the ball around until you find the open man. And that's given them good looks both in the paint and beyond the arc. That's really contributed to that high percentage.
I mean, overall, they're shooting 63% from the field. Compare that to just 32% from Carroll. And it's been a rough go of things for the Chargers, who on the year they're shooting 45%, not too bad from the field, but it is just not working in this one for the Chargers. That bucket from Cameron Moore before the timeout puts him at 16 points tonight, so he's the leading scorer in this game for either team. And 80 seconds away from the Zionsville Eagles booking their spot in the semifinal at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. It'll be an early wake-up call, but it'll be well worth it as they'll face either Mount Vernon or South Bend St. Joe, as Middleton's three-pointer is no good. And Ferguson gets it and just throws it away. And Herring able to add on 2 more to Carroll's total.
Just a lazy pass there by Ferguson. Just did not see Herring coming in, and the easy takeaway and the easy layup on the other end.
Ferguson with the ball, and another timeout going to be called here by Coach Howell. Just doesn't want to risk a potential turnover, so we'll keep it here. Just a 30-second timeout with 46 seconds remaining. Mount Vernon, how about this? They trailed by 11 multiple times in this game. They lead by 8, 62-54 against South Bend St. Joe in the fourth quarter of that one. So Mount Vernon in a good position right now to potentially move on to the semifinal tomorrow. They would be the team to take on Zionsville, and of course Mount Vernon led by their star senior Luke Ertl, who will be going to the Boilermakers next year. Mount Vernon also played in the Hall of Fame Classic back on Tuesday, so it's been a busy week for them. Zionsville ball here after the timeout. Both teams have 2 timeouts remaining, and Carroll, their next foul would put Zionsville into the bonus as Sim gets the inbound. And he'll bounce it over to Godunte. Sim again with it. Ferguson. And he might have stepped on the baseline, and he did, so that's going to give it back to Carroll with 33 seconds left.
Well, the Chargers is continuing to send pressure even late in this game, just trying to, do anything they can to, get a closer score towards the end of this game.
And a bucket here from Lambert. Chargers aren't going to give up just yet, as it's down to an 11-point game now. So the quick timeout here from Coach Benedict. Carroll, if they're not able to make this comeback, they'll move on to the consolation bracket starting tomorrow, and they would face the loser of Mount Vernon and South Bend St. Joe. That tip time would be at 10 a.m. as well over in the Victory Gym. And tomorrow, all 8 games will be available here on the Homestead Media YouTube channel, as have coverage of every game. Tomorrow tonight we got the 2 Spartan Arena games for you on our air. Ball fired all the way down court to Green. He's got the ball, looking for somewhere to go with it to Reed, who we haven't seen since the first half. Back to Green. And ball knocked loose, and it's going to be a foul on the floor. Not that it matters, though, because that's the 5th team foul on Carroll, and the Eagles will be shooting free throws.
Yeah, and the Chargers still trying to bring that pressure, but the Eagles, I mean, they show they're very composed under pressure, and in late-game situations, it's very hard to come back against this team because you can't really pressure them, or they'll just beat you with their beautiful ball movement, just able to keep the ball alive and then forcing Chargers to foul or just send them to the line.
And second free throw good that time from Green. He's got 5 points now into this one. 12-point lead for Zionsville. Less than 10 seconds remain. Van Order might take one more shot. Instead, he passes over to Omar. He'll take the 3, and why not tack on 3 more to end this one? And how about that? This game's going to come to an end as a 9-point win for Zionsville. So every quarter ends with the Eagles leading by 9. And with that, the Zionsville Eagles will move on to the semifinals tomorrow morning.
Yeah, and just a great complete game by the Eagles. I mean, they dominated in every aspect of the game. Their defense was great. Their offense looked great as well. They shot great from beyond the arc and shot very well inside as well. As this Eagles team, they look very good, proving why they're one of the top teams in the state, currently ranked 12th. And, I mean, they showed that here, and are going to try to show that again tomorrow in their next game.
So you see the look at your bracket there. Mount Vernon leads South Bend St. Joe by 1 point in the 4th quarter. So a classic shaping up in that game over in the Victory Gym. Putting a bow on this one and just looking at some of the stats. We started talking about them late on in that first half, or excuse me, in the second half, but just dominating performance in this one. Both teams actually didn't turn it over that much. Only 17 combined turnovers between even the rebounds. Only a 4 rebound margin advantage for the Eagles in this game. It really was the shot making that was the difference, and we talked about those field goal percentages. So Zionsville tomorrow morning, they're going to be playing for a spot in the championship game, looking to defend their title from a year ago.
Yeah, and that's going to be a big game tomorrow. No matter who they play, Mount Vernon or St. Joe, they're going to have their hands full. Both those teams very good, but the Eagles, I mean, they showed that they can hang with anybody in this tournament today. I mean, just a great game against the Chargers. I mean, just great ball movement, a great coached team on both sides of the floor. They play very smart offensively, and then defensively, they just force you into difficult shots. They're not a huge turnover creating team, but they just slowly force you to take hard shots, and it just kills your field goal percentage, and it makes you very hard for your offense to keep up with theirs.
All right, you see on the floor, or you did see on the floor, the players for the next quarterfinal getting ready out on the floor. It'll be Homestead and Center Grove in quarterfinal number 3, final game of the day here in Spartan Arena. Tip-off of that one about 15 minutes away, so we're going to step away. You can go ahead and click over to the other stream here on the Homestead Media YouTube channel. But the Zionsville Eagles get the victory 48-39 over the Carroll Chargers, and they move on to the semifinals tomorrow morning. We'll see you in a few minutes for Homestead and Center Grove. Until then, on behalf of color commentator Malachi Stone, I'm Braxton All saying from Spartan Arena, we'll see you in a few.